Welcome to the MotUS Edge, where we celebrate business, primarily youth sports facility management, leadership, and motivation. Co-hosted by Stacy Rowe, Stott, Kevin Brubaker, and Casey Jones. We are here to fill your cup with knowledge, laughter, affirmations, and comfort knowing that you're not alone. You can and will succeed with the MotUS Edge.
Hello and welcome to the MotUS Edge. I am Stacy Rowe, and here with me today is Stott, Kevin Brubaker, and Casey Jones. We are excited to kick off our very first podcast for the MotUS Edge.
Woo woo!
Yeah, let's go, guys. Who's excited? All right,
I'm super excited.
Let's talk a little bit about how we got to know each other.
Wait, did you hit record?
I did hit record, Kevin.
Okay. I'm just making sure. If I'm going through this, I want to make sure it's, Okay,
I know we got to get it. We want to get it right. Yeah. So Cole, tell us how you met everyone.
Well, so I think I met Kevin in 1995 at Maryville College, where randomly that's where I live now today. And it was before Premier had even started. It was just Shark Camp, and he knew Mike Martinez first, and he came in as a guest coach to our camp that we were doing up there.
Wait, let's clarify. You don't actually live at Maryville College right now.
No, I do. I live in the city of Maryville, not actually the college. So I think that's where I first met Kevin, and I hadn't even thought about that for a while. So my memory is not as bad as I think it's getting. And Stacy, I had met at a Premier retreat. I think the first one was in Chattanooga. I think it was 2001. And such a small world. We were at an event a couple weeks ago in Charlotte, and telling some old stories with Shane Robbins and Billy Dunlap of how that first retreat went down. We've grown up a little bit since then. Then Casey, I can't really pinpoint it. I'm sure that it was, it's probably at CheerSport, to be honest with you, because, way back then in 1998, I felt like, we were head to head, and when it was just youth, junior, and senior divisions, and you were either intermediate or was it novice, intermediate, advanced, or it was just straight division? It was only youth, junior, and senior. And so we were always head to head, with each other, and sitting in the back in the warm-up room or waiting for the awards to come out, then chasing Kevin around to complain about awards. Funny story that Casey may remember is one year Roger chased Kevin into the parking lot, and I think it was at one of the high schools with the score sheets. It's like, it was awesome. It's so funny.
And Roger was winning. He was winning. He was still upset.
I'm sure.
Just not by enough.
Yeah. I remember being at that first retreat with you, Cole, and you were talking about how much you love to golf. And I told you that my husband was a professional golfer, and you basically were like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, I'll believe it when I see it. Everybody thinks they're a professional golfer. Yeah. And then I think it was like 11 years later, you actually finally got to play golf with Chris. And I'm pretty sure that he kicked your butt.
Yeah, no, I remember that. And I said, hey, Chris actually is really good.
Yeah.
For the record, I wanted to be stated on the podcast. I have beat Chris since then, though.
Straight up, or in like a tournament with other people? I don't believe it. You're lying. You're lying.
We'll confirm. We'll put
I'll ask him.
$10 bet on it.
I find that to be very difficult to believe.
Yeah.
Did he play on the other side or something, or what?
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yeah.
I believe that maybe as a team, like playing in a tournament, your team beat him. But straight up,
I remember the time because it was a momentous occasion for me in my golf journey. It was Chris, myself, and Shannon Smith, of all people. I think Chris and I traveled to South Carolina for something. And on that trip, Chris introduced me to a great thing at Bojangles. When you get the Bojangles biscuit, you can get cheese on top, but you can also get a real fried egg. You just have to know how to order it. And we were driving through on the way there. So I do remember it very well.
Okay. Well, that is where I agree, Cole. We met at the retreat, and I remember talking to you about my husband playing golf, and you basically were like, whatever, I'll believe it when I see it. And then you were, mighty high on your horse at that time. You had all these all-stars, and you just thought you were the greatest thing since sliced bread. And my Jersey little self just kind of sat back and was like, okay. And you told me that my gym was never going to be as big as yours because it was in a small town and it just couldn't possibly have more all-stars than your gym in the city of Knoxville. And that was pretty much it at the end. And I was like, watch me do that.
Watch me go. Look at us now.
Pretty
20
much.
years later.
Kevin, I met because and I might be wrong, Kevin, but what I remember is, I had my gym in Clayton, North Carolina, Premier Athletics, and you were trying to get me to come to CheerSport.
I came to it
for like a million years. Yeah. And I was not having it. I'm like, I'm not coming to Atlanta. Your event's too expensive. We are a little, gym here. We stay local. I'm not doing it. Leave me alone. Quit calling me. Quit bothering me. And then you came to my gym. And I feel like I did. I feel like I finally gave in and I went that next year.
I said, if you want to be as good as Premier Knoxville, you need to come to Atlanta because that's where the big boys play.
And that's what convinced me to finally jump on board. And then I don't remember the first time that I met Casey either. I feel like Casey and we really didn't know each other until the last 4 or 5 years, I feel like. But prior to that, we knew each other, I knew who you were.
So basically all your health problems have happened since you've met Casey.
Pretty much.
Talking about Kevin going to gyms, I always tell this story is we had committed fully to going to CheerSport. Way back in the early years, I feel like, I know Premier was the biggest customer that CheerSport had. We brought 100, at our peak, we brought 139 teams to CheerSport.
You just randomly pulled that out.
Wow.
39?
I remember.
He definitely made that up.
And then it's stuck in my head, just like beating Chris in golf. But Kevin would come through Knoxville all the time, because Knoxville intersects. There's 75 and 40, so two major interstates intersect in Knoxville. And Kevin would be coming through here all the time. And he'd be like, hey, man, can we just go get a coffee? It's like, Kevin, I'm coming. He's like, I know you're coming, but can we just go get a coffee? It's like, we are coming to the event. You can stop selling. We are going to be there. And then finally he would text or actually back then he'd call again and be like, all right, I'm going to be there in 30 minutes. If you're not going to get a coffee, I'm going to stop by the gym and say hi. So there's no wonder that CheerSport grew to the largest cheerleading event out there. So,
seriously.
Yeah.
Casey, what is your remembering? What's your remembrance of our first meeting, our first encounters?
Well, clearly, I met Kevin when he was trying to sell us on coming to CheerSport, and I remember some of that. He was just use us as a warm-up competition for NCA. It doesn't matter. Just come to our competition for whatever reason. If you want to use it as a showcase. So he was really, really trying to pitch this thing as a get ready for other competitions. He would use it.
I feel like I knew you though when you were with American. Do we go back that far? What year were you coaching an American?
So I bought American in 98. I would have been coaching there.
See, I feel like because our first CheerSport was 97 and the high school, and I feel like I would have met you 98 or 99. Because were you coaching with Tommy Martin?
Not at that time.
That was after American was after that.
Tommy was pro cheer, and that was the first gym I was at. So
okay.
When I was first involved with American, you probably wouldn't have been talking to me. I wasn't the guy writing the checks, so I don't know that you would have been trying to get.
But I feel
me
like I would have met you when you were coach because I feel like American came to one of our not our national event, but one of our one-day events, and so I felt I may be wrong, but I think it was 99 or 2000.
He had a lot more hair back then, so maybe it's confusing.
A ton more hair.
Yeah.
I had to work 100 hours a week back then, so I may not have even remembered your name. So it was crazy trying to.
I just noticed, Casey, you shaved recently.
I know. I know. No more no shave November. It's gone away. So my wife is happy. But yeah, met Kevin like most people. He was trying to sell, and he is. He's pretty relentless at that. Even when you're coming, he wants to double down and make sure you're coming. And I'm pretty sure at one time Stingrays brought 140 teams. So. I think, Cole and I, obviously we ran into each other at these competitions, but truly got to know each other as him and Mike were, kind of kicking things off with athletic. I remember all the fun coaches parties and hanging out in Chattanooga up there. those were great coaches parties, always giving away a lot of gifts, and it was fun. And everybody had a great time. So we just had a lot of really good conversations. And then Cole would also, organize different retreats and different things like that, and invited me in a couple times to speak at some premier events, and that was always fun. And then I don't know, we just connected and kind of built a relationship. And along the years, Cole and I have talked about, starting all these different ventures. I mean, I remember one time we were talking about trampoline parks.
Yeah.
And kind of glad we didn't go that route and ended up here. This is a lot better and we're a lot more knowledgeable in what we're doing now. But it's cool to kind of, see 20 plus years of knowing each other and then building a friendship and then actually being able to be partners together. So, but yeah, Stacy, you described it perfectly on how we met. I think we knew each other in passing, but really got to know each other in the last 3 or 4 years. So, and that's really been it for all of us.
I actually just remembered Cole had us both do, it was like a varsity Knoxville retreat with the office there and as a customer, and wanted us to talk to the staff, and they were asking us questions from the customer's point of view. And I just remembered that, I don't remember when that was, but it was a long time ago, and it was you and I, we were sitting side by side, and I feel like that was the first time we probably had officially met.
Yeah,
I remember that. That was very informative and really, kind of springboarded our growth to some extent. Is bringing in the actual programs to talk about from a customer's perspective. So let's make a note. Let's do that again for Cheer Expo.
For sure.
No, really, that was great, and those were great.
I was going to say, who would have
together.
thought actually taking a minute to talk to your actual customer and talking to them about what they want, what they like and dislike, that might actually help your business.
Concept.
I mean, it is such a crazy concept. We should definitely do that with the Cheer Expo for sure.
Absolutely.
That's so funny. So, Casey, you obviously are the owner of Stingray All-Stars, right? So why don't you tell us just briefly a little bit about how you got started with Stingrays?
Wait, I never got to tell how I met everybody.
Oh, my God, you're right. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Kevin.
We already know you were trying to sell us.
You're trying to sell us.
Yeah, you were trying to sell
covered
it.
Well, before, I can't get past the concentration piece about the fried egg on a Bojangles biscuit. So that's got me going. I'm so hungry right now. I didn't know you could do that. I'm a good Southern American. I love Bojangles. There's one literally right down the street. So what did you order, Cole?
Chris ordered first. So I just copied his order.
So you got a sausage biscuit?
Chicken biscuit with cheese on top and actual fried egg.
Okay. I'm not scared. I'll do that. So
Bowberry biscuit.
Yeah, those are great too.
Good.
And I like the cinnamon ones too. They're pretty amazing. So I sang in a church choir years ago when I was younger, and they had 3 services, and we would sing at the first service. And then at the second service, we would sing and listen to the preaching. And then for the third service in between, they would bring us Bojangles. And then we would sing for the third one and then leave. I was like, this is the greatest choir ever. They gave us Bojangles every Sunday. It's pretty awesome.
Kevin, I think now may be a good time for you to sing for us. Give us
the national anthem or something. Right. I'm a little raspy, so I'll hold that off for another podcast.
We do want people to come back and listen to the second podcast, though. Maybe we should save the singing for a little further down the road. I don't know.
I was a voice major in college.
What?
Did you know that?
Did not know that.
Yeah, my first year at Wingate, I was a voice major in college.
So can you actually sing?
I really can. Yeah, sang at my wedding, and Jen didn't leave me, so it was good enough for her to stay.
Okay,
clearly, he didn't make a career of it though, so he doesn't sing that well. He doesn't sing nearly as well as he sells cheerleading competitions.
Yeah, that is a true statement.
Let's don't mix that up.
I do want to add, on behalf of Sky and Ava and their college tuition, I thank Stingrays and Premier very much for your customers.
You're welcome.
Relationships over the years, so I do appreciate that. And you're right. I met all 3 of y'all through Cell and CheerSport back in the day, and I
was your favorite.
Yeah, I mean, I never cared one thing about dance ever until I met Stacy Rowe. And then, it helped us I think at our height, we had about 150 dance teams at CheerSport Nationals. And it was really, and I took an interest. I can remember seeing that amazing routine at the Raleigh Convention Center at a CheerSport one day, and almost got emotional and cried. It was so beautiful.
The angel routine, is that the one you're talking about?
Yes. I mean, it still is clearly one of the best things that I ever saw in dance, and was always a fan of dance ever since then, because I'm friends with you and really appreciate, Cole and Casey both, no nonsense, but competing with us, always giving us advice on how we could be better and growing our event. And I'm thankful for my friendships with Cole and Casey and Stacy and what that led to, what we're doing now. But that started with, the early days of CheerSport and talking to people about how to make our competitions better, and literally talking to every team before they came to Atlanta to make sure they were comfortable and in the right divisions. And that just led to customer service at the highest level. So anyway, yes, good stuff.
Awesome. And I was your favorite.
Yeah, by far.
Yes.
By far. I like 2 of the 3 people on this call. So
the only thing that would have made that dance performance better is if Kevin would have sang the instrumentals for your dance performance.
We should do a CheerSport Memories podcast.
Oh, wow.
And invite some guests on, because I've got some great memories and some great stories.
That would be a good one.
That's happened at CheerSport. Yeah. We'll just leave
I can tell you some behind the things.
Names out.
Some of the behind the scene things that you guys never knew that happened, but we have some pretty crazy ones. So yeah, that's good stuff, Cole.
That is pretty awesome.
I don't remember any of the good stuff. It's only the bad stuff that I hold on to, like the bad beats.
Yeah. I remember having a blister on the bottom of my foot from CheerSport so bad that I named it Bob. And my entire staff, we were talking about Bob the Blister, and we had to make sure that when we had dinner, we had space for Bob the Blister because he was so big. It was like the size of like a $50 on the bottom of my foot.
That's awesome.
It was awful. And so I remember that. And then I remember a parent causing a big ruckus and getting into almost a full-blown argument fight with one of my athletes. I had to deal with that. I remember that at CheerSport.
Yeah.
Oh, fun times, good times. I remember starving most of the time. Even though you guys always had good food, I never had time to eat it because I was so busy with all of the teams.
We should do that a week before CheerSport. Podcast CheerSport Memories.
Okay.
I like that. All right. So Casey, tell us about Stingrays, how you got started with Stingray All-Stars.
Well,
time next.
Well, I got my start. I actually followed my love to Atlanta. My cheerleading partner at Georgia Southern. I followed her home.
She's still your current love, right?
She is.
Look at that. How many years are we in love?
30 years.
30 years.
30 years and 5 kids. It's pretty amazing.
Awesome.
So
it is pretty amazing.
And it gets better every year. So that's truly the thing I'm most proud of. So, but man, she's been through it, in the cheerleading business, a lot of time away from home and a lot of time trying to build a business. But I got my start working for Tommy Martin at Pro Cheer, and man, things were just ground level then. We were just getting started in All-Stars, and I don't think anybody really knew what they were doing. And we were just showing up and doing passion work. We loved cheerleading. So bounced around to a couple of different gyms, and then bought American Cheerleading in 1998 with the help of a mother in the gym who became to be a dear friend of mine and a business mentor, a life mentor, and everything else. And then in about 2001, 2002, over that year, we did a rebrand, and I was approached by some folks to do a multi-sports center, and they actually bought me out. It was Coliseum Sports, and that was just a cool time. Also, Roger Chandra came on board at that time to be our all-star director. He was going to come on for 1 year and teach us how to run an all-star program, and so he came over and brought with him his team name, Stingrays, and he liked his color blue, and green was my favorite color, so that was kind of the birth of the blue and green. And like I said, he was gonna stay with us for a year and teach us his ways while he was in pilot school, and here we are almost 25 years later, and we're blessed to still get to work together. So Coliseum Sports unfortunately didn't work out, but the Stingrays part of it did. So I bought myself back from them pretty quickly, and here we are still rocking along. Like I said, we're in our 24th season as Stingrays. Had a couple seasons before that as American, but a lot of blessings and a lot of great opportunities to work with literally at this point just hundreds of thousands of athletes and their families, as well as just thousands of great employees.
That's awesome. And Kevin, we know that you obviously did a whole lot of selling of CheerSport back in the day. Now you're selling MotUS and the Cheer Expo, but you also have Charlotte All-Stars, right?
That's right. I graduated from college in 1990, and that fall I was in graduate school at University of North Carolina in Charlotte, and was cheering and working with several school teams, and started Charlotte All-Stars in the fall of 1990. And we were one of 4 gyms that I know of nationwide that started in 1990. I don't know of any other gyms that started in 88 or 89 that are around anymore. I know there might have been some gyms that started then, but I only know of 4 other gyms that literally started in 1990. And so we're one of the 4. And had one team of 18 kids. That was our colors were teal, black, and white because we tried to mimic the Charlotte Hornets, thinking that we would get to perform for the Hornets someday. Thought that was pretty cool. And then the second year, all our uniforms were homemade by a mother that did teal, black, and white. And then we grew, and she's like, I can't make uniforms anymore. I don't have time. And so John Newby was my uniform rep with varsity. And he came to Charlotte All-Stars in 91, and he was the coach at Clemson at the time. And we became friends then. And ironically, he was my boss years later at varsity. And varsity did not make a teal color. And so we were going to be red, black, and white. And I thought, and I liked red, it stood out. And in the last second, I changed it to purple, black, and white. No one was purple back then. So we've been purple, black, and white ever since then. And then our main team is called Teal Squad, still to this day, our world team, from that original color of ours of being teal. So we're actually the original Teal Squad from 1990. And now we've had the gym for 35 years, started our 35th season this year, growing all the time. But our gym is full on gymnastics and cheerleading. We do a full preschool program. We have about 15 birthday parties a weekend and full gymnastics cheer center. Our All-Star program is good, not the biggest. We're about 350 All-Stars on every level from half year, prep, full year, elite, fundamentals, the works. And year 35, it's been amazing. And I started doing cheerleading competitions in the mid 90s, thinking we could help our coaches make a little bit of money on the side. Instead of having to do a million private lessons, because the gym business just pays so much. And so that's how I started doing competitions in 93, and that led to CheerSport in 95. And then CheerSport Nationals, our first one was in 97. And I did that for 20 years, and then sold that to varsity and was varsity sales director for new business development for several years, and then lost my job because of COVID. And so that led me to conversations with Cole and Casey and Stacy about doing MotUS and the Cheer Expo, and still have Charlotte All-Stars. Thank goodness I have amazing general managers like Kendall Seymour and Meg Pierlot. And I do, but I own the gym with my wife, which is amazing. And both Sky and Ava cheered growing up Charlotte All-Stars their whole lives. They're both in college now. And
how long have you guys been married, you and Jen?
25 years this spring. So 25, not as long as Casey and Heather, but we have two girls, Sky and Ava. Sky's a junior in college. Ava's a freshman in college. Sky's in New York City, and Ava's at University of South Carolina in Columbia. And but Jen and I work together every day. She does more of the gym stuff than I do because I'm doing this new venture. But it's pretty awesome. Year 35 of Charlotte All-Stars. It's pretty crazy. I did the math. I started when I was 22 and had 35 years of gym, and 35 and 22 is 57 and I'm 57. So the math adds up.
Kevin, did you want to tell them the most exciting thing that's going on at Charlotte this season?
Not sure where you're going with this.
I mean, huge changes.
It is.
Kevin has retired from coaching this year, so you guys can expect a huge upgrade in the way that the teams are looking. So
they really do look good, actually. So.
I've actually gotten a couple letters from the kids and the parents about how excited they are.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
Can't wait
Kevin
to
doing
see
something
what's going to happen this year.
Well, ironically, my protege is Robert Burns and Ari Patterson. They're amazing. We got to all coach together last year, and I'm too old-fashioned and too old in my ways, and so it was time to step aside. So I coached for 42 years, and this is the first year I'm not coaching. It's pretty – I miss the kids. I miss some of the cheer stuff, but, God closes one door and opens up another one. So
I stopped coaching in 2018. That was my last year coaching. Cole thought that I stopped coaching in 2017. Yeah. So at that time,
so you were going back and forth, and he didn't know it, right?
Yeah. So at that time, he was my boss, and he wanted me to stop coaching so I could focus more on, other things and
have a larger impact on more people.
Yes, and I agreed, but then I just couldn't help it. So I drove back and forth from Knoxville to North Carolina.
Tell them what that trip was like. I mean, she would literally work all day, drive 6 hours to coach, and then drive back 6 hours that night. And didn't tell me about it for a year until finally they were going to Worlds, and she wanted me to come watch them at Worlds. And I was like, all right, I'll be there. And she's like, well, I've got a little something that I've been hiding from you that I want to tell you. I was like,
that's a great story.
Oh, it's insane.
Cole, I think everyone knew but you, to be honest.
I know. But was that the year you got Coach of the Year?
No, Coach of the Year was 2014.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, 2014. And we won in 2015, and then that was 2018.
Awesome.
Yeah, we got fourth a lot of time.
Yeah.
Fourth, just really fourth.
Yeah, yes.
Just outside the club.
I'm really bitter.
Yeah.
No, I can, as someone who's been to Worlds a dozen times, literally, we've been second and third and fourth and fifth and sixth and seventh and eighth and ninth and 10th.
Yeah.
Made the top, been 11th a couple times. That was horrible because you don't make the top 10.
Yeah,
been fourth a couple times, which means you don't globe. I was first one time for 24 hours after our Saturday's performance.
I remember that, and I came to watch because I just happened to see that it was you guys, and I was like, oh my god, I gotta go.
We didn't win. We dropped a stunt and fell to third.
But
we
went
were
and
first
watched.
for 24 hours. It's pretty exciting. So
the year that we won, we were fourth. So we were open international co-ed hip hop, and so you had to go do the U.S. trials first. You had to be in the top 10 to make it to, the actual world championships. And then you had to be in the top 3 in order to make it to the final round. So we would always get fourth, literally at the U.S. Like the U.S. championships or whatever. And so we had gotten fourth place. We'd get fourth or fifth. We had gotten fourth place. And then we went to the next day. And so we had to get in the top 3. We made it into the top 3 in second place. Yeah, we made it to the top 3 in second place. And then we actually won. That was the year that we won. So we competed the third day and we won. And we were like, oh my God. So we've never actually won the U.S. trials ever. We've never even placed top 3, but we won a world championship. Like, how crazy is that?
Yeah. Wow. Casey,
I think it's because our routines were always so fun and complicated that it took the judges 3 times to like really fully appreciate the choreography is what I think it was.
Casey, how many world championships do the Stingrays actually have?
I think 16.
Yeah,
I believe. I'm awful with all of that, keeping up with it, because I don't know. It's just not something that I track.
Because you have so many. I mean, let's be honest. Like you're being humble, but he has too many to count.
But how many
have a lot, and
how many
I'm
second and
grateful for
thirds do
that.
you have?
What's that?
How many second and thirds do you have as well?
I don't even know. A lot.
Well, I know. I have 1 gold medal.
Yeah. I have 0.
1 silver medal and 2 bronze medals.
Yeah.
There you go. That's my record.
Boom. Nice.
Casey's over here like, I don't know. There's too many to count.
It is weird. And do not take that for granted at all, because we've been very blessed to be a competitive program. But it's also something that I don't really focus on personally, because the wins are great and they're awesome, and we have a saying of, winning fixes everything, but also what happens when you don't win. So what's going to keep those kids coming back when you don't win? So those are the things that we kind of pride ourselves of working on, is creating experience. And although a world championship's an incredible experience, it's just one small part of what an entire season is. So been able to see teams not win and have incredible seasons. And then I've also been a part of some teams that did win, and we were just couldn't wait for it to be over. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I can agree with all of that.
Is someone whimpering, or is that a dog?
That was my dog, actually, that just walked by and whimpered a little bit. Mm-hmm. Yep. Cole, tell us about your beginnings.
My journey. So my beginnings started when I was born. So I was born into the gymnastics world.
Okay, let me rephrase.
That's going to take a minute.
Yeah. My mom owned 2 gymnastics gyms, so I actually was a gym rat growing up. Drug around her judging events, and then later on, I have an older sister who's 3 years older than me. She was a cheerleader. She was a level 10 gymnast first. Then she transferred over to cheerleading, which is a story a lot of gymnasts have. And then so I ended up being at cheerleading events on the weekends, and at the high school cheerleading practices. So I kind of have done it my whole life. Ended up cheering at the University of Tennessee the exact same years as Peyton Manning, from 94 to 98. So that was some good years for the
glory
Vols.
Years.
Yeah, let's not talk about what just happened in this year's playoffs.
Peyton's amazing.
Yeah, so met my lovely wife, Christy. We've been married for 25 years. Sidebar, she actually was the female representative for the university with the Boys and Girls Club. Peyton was the male representative. So they worked together in the summer for 2 years. So I actually got to know him decently well. So did that. While in college, met Boog Potter and Mike Martinez. Boog was in MBA school at UT. Had this concept to create this franchise of cheerleading gyms. Knew I was cheering. I was working at KGTC at the time, which was Knoxville Gymnastics Training Center, for Phil Savage. And then we started Knoxville Cheerleading Center in 97, which changed to Premier shortly thereafter. Came up with a franchise program, really grew it up to 21 different gyms, and then started the Premier Network that I think Kevin, I know for sure, was part of it, but I think Casey Stingrays actually signed up at one point as well. Grew that, had 115 gyms in the Premier Network, which later on turned into the Varsity Family Plan. But because of those gyms, Varsity became really interested in Premier and what we were doing. So we sold to Varsity in 2005, ran Varsity Knoxville for 15 years, and same as Kevin, COVID hit. So they decided to shut Varsity Knoxville down, which was, honestly kind of out of left field. Maybe a future podcast. We'll talk about how that actually. But it was, like Kevin said, it was a blessing that, it brought us to kind of recreate, start MotUS. Casey and I started talking about it first, talked about it for almost a year, and went all around the world of like how we were going to do it. And then, obviously, Stacy was a partner in Premier when we were able to buy Premier back from Varsity. Started talking to her about it in real serious discussions. Then it kind of morphed into something different and something much better. Like we say all the time, Stacy's kind of the brains behind the operations. So then, got with Kevin and said, hey, we're doing this thing called MotUS. I don't know if we even really had a name for it yet. But
no, we did, because Kevin was like, MotUS, what's MotUS?
Was it? So we came up with a name.
Can we come up with anything else besides the word MotUS?
And I was like, no, it's MotUS.
Yeah.
We were like into everything had been developed. LLC started all of this stuff. Kevin comes on board. He is just, please change this name. Like, I don't understand this name.
It's like, can you change the name? No, we can't.
But
anyway, so obviously with Kevin's background, with MotUS, we've really got two big goals. The first one's to increase participation for the entire industry. And the second one, we're very upfront and honest about it even with all of our affiliates who are amazing. You know, our affiliate program is fantastic. But we want to make the gyms more profitable and find ways for the gyms to capture more of the revenue that they have flowing through it. So, you know, our first big step with that was the Cheer Expo, obviously with Kevin's background on the event side. And, you know, all of us, you know, been around cheerleading events like we were joking about earlier, is that, gosh, you know, let's ask the gym owners what they want to do. We've recently got some really great shout outs on the ASGA of, hey, what a random concept to have, you know, cheerleading events ran by gym owners and coaches who talk to the parents and talk to the athletes and live it and breathe it 365 days a year. So I've got big hopes for Cheer Expo. We're in our second season. We've got 9 events this year, and they're all tracking, you know, pretty good. And we've got some big plans looking forward in the future for next year with some new brands, new experiences, larger staff, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my story.
Awesome. I am
2 boys.
Oh, and I've got 2 boys. I did mention meeting my wife, Christy. Been married 25 years. Got 2 boys, Mason and Maddox. Mason is 24 and Maddox is 20. So, you know, going through that phase of life and deciding, you know, what their future is going to be.
I remember when both of those boys were born.
Yeah. So do I.
That's how long we've known each other. Yep. I've been a premier baby my whole life, basically my whole adult life anyway. So I remember my mom had passed away in March of 2020. I'm sorry, 2000. 2020 was just a couple of years ago. 2000. Yeah. She passed away in March of 2000. And my husband and I were on our way home from Christmas. We used to go to New York and New Jersey. That's where we were originally from over the Christmas holidays when we were young, before we had kids. And so I remember driving home in the car with him, and I said, I want to open a cheer gym. My mom used to, and I don't know that I've ever told you guys this story. So my mom, she used to have a business called the Sharpshooters, which was like baton twirling, and they would do competitions and kind of similar to All-Star Cheer, that she would go to Notre Dame and they had all these different competitions. Ironically, I forget who it was I was talking to, but when I was doing the interviews for the book, somebody knew her because they were in that like circuit. I forget who it was, but anyway. Oh, wow. And yeah. And so I told Chris, my husband, I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to open a cheer gym. I feel like, you know, my mom passed away and I just feel like this is what I want to do. Like, I know that this is what I want to do. So, you know, we were 22 or 20. I don't know. We were young and we didn't have any money and nobody was going to give us a loan, but I was determined. So I did a business plan. I went to the bank. I went to like a couple other like prominent business owners in our community. Of course I got laughed at. Everybody told me no. And then Premier came along because Abel was my college coach and he had a Premier in Wilmington. And so I got connected with him, and Boog and Mike and Bill Asp were the ones kind of in charge at the time. I feel like, Cole, you were still at the Knoxville West gym. Yeah. So they came to Clayton to visit with me a couple times, and they just kept giving me all these like hoops to jump through to become part of Premier. And I kept doing it. And I feel like they were honestly just thinking I would go away and not thinking I would accomplish all of these tasks that they asked me to accomplish. And anyway, I remember telling my husband that if they didn't open a gym, that I was going to be their worst nightmare. And luckily, they finally gave in, and we opened up the gym, and the rest is history. You guys harassed me for a decade to move to Knoxville, which finally wore me down, and I did. And during COVID, you know, same thing, job change of course, change of direction. And I always joke around, nothing like a midlife crisis and a pandemic to turn you into an author. So I decided I wanted to write a book, and I wrote my first novel. Well, actually, that's not true. I wrote my first novel before COVID, but I published it during COVID, and then kind of became addicted and started writing. And then Cole and Casey and I were talking about MotUS, and I was still part of Premier at that point. And I feel like I kind of lost my passion a little bit for cheerleading, but luckily Cole was pretty patient and waited for me to find it again. And now I feel like all 3 of you guys are kind of wishing that I hadn't found it again.
No, we're super blessed and privileged that you did.
Keeping everybody pretty busy.
I love all of it. I don't know about this podcast, but I like all your ideas.
Yeah, so the MotUS Edge was one of those passionate ideas that came out. So yeah, that's
then you
my
got
story.
Chris and two kids.
Yeah, so married to Chris. 24 years because I'm the baby of the group, so I have not been married as long as everyone else. Cole thinks I'm like 10 years younger than him, which is fine by me. Yeah. That would put me in my 30s still, so we'll go with that. But yes, been married to my wonderful husband. We got married when I was 22, I think, and we've been married 34 years, listen to me. 24 years, going to celebrate our 25th wedding anniversary, and we have 2 teenage children, Avery and John, sophomore and senior in high school. And they keep things fun and exciting. Yeah. So, yeah, there you go.
So recap on the kids. I don't know if everyone knows all this. So I have 2 kids. Cole has 2 kids. Stacy has 2 kids. Casey has like 17. But he only has 5. But ironically, his oldest is older than our 6 kids, and his youngest is younger than our 6 kids. Yeah. So Casey is his child span is way wider.
Casey and Heather just found out that they could put a TV in their bedroom, and so they stopped having kids.
Yeah. They say that kids keep you young, but I think they keep you broke. So I don't know. I think it's like hearing all this, hearing us talk about this is really cool to just see how. I think we've all been rejuvenated. I remember when Cole and I started having conversation, we had both felt like we were coming off a decade of not really doing anything new. We got up and we went to work every day, and I think we did a good job at what we were doing in cheerleading. But, nothing was changing, and we were just, I don't know. For me, it was like, all right, I'm just going to ride this until it's time to retire, and wasn't really excited. But now thinking about the possibilities of MotUS and what it can do for gyms and a gym-led sport, and wow, like I said, it's just sort of rejuvenated all of us. It really just lit a fire that originally brought us into this and what we did. And I think we just have a real opportunity to be able to work side by side with other gyms and other gym owners and help them to grow. And that is one thing that I preach all the time. I believe that cheerleading, especially all-star cheerleading, is one of the greatest team sports on the planet. 2.5 minutes of all-out, intense, no timeouts, no substitutions. It teaches you teamwork like nothing else, which in turn is going to go on and teach you life skills like nothing else. So it's really important to me, and I know it's really important to Kevin and Stacy and Cole that this industry continues to grow, that the sport of cheerleading continues to grow, and that we're able to make a big impact on the gyms.
I couldn't agree with you more, Casey. I feel like, I have a saying that I live by, which is we rise by lifting others. And I feel like MotUS has given us the opportunity to really get out there and just help a lot of other gym owners just be somebody to, a lot of times they don't even really need help. They just want somebody else to bounce an idea off of or chat with that's kind of in the same situation. And it's been so great and rejuvenating. And, to Kevin's point, what is MotUS? It means it's Latin for movement. And our tagline is join the movement. So we want all the gym owners to join the movement of working together and helping each other grow and learn and just get better. And, we all have those moments. I hate to say it, but sometimes being a gym owner is a thankless job. People don't really understand. You kind of have to have you have to have your smiling face on all the time, and you have to be the positive Patty in the group constantly. But the staff is, unhappy sometimes, or they need more or want more from you. And the parents, are unhappy or need more or want more. And it's just a lot. It's just a lot. And so it's good to have a group of people that can work together to, to help uplift each other. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun working together. And
well, Stacy, I can say, I tell this to MotUS customers or potential customers or gym owners all the time that my gym at Charlotte All-Stars is better because I'm friends with Premier and Stingrays. And as crazy as it is, Stingrays is better because he's friends with Charlotte All-Stars and Premier. And Premier is better because y'all are friends with Stingrays and Charlotte All-Stars. And so, building this community of like-minded gym owners, and sometimes it can be a brief conversation. Sometimes it can be a weekly conversation. Sometimes it can be just the encouragement on our monthly Zoom calls, or finding something different in the vault, or, talking to someone at a competition that's also a MotUS member. And I just saw a lot of that in December at Kansas City and Charlotte with the MotUS members that were there, just being encouraging about, almost bringing back sportsmanship and almost enjoying the process of being at an event with other gym owners that are going through some of the same struggles and some of the same like-mindedness that we all go through as gym owners.
That's one of the things with MotUS, Kevin, that you just touched on, that I've been I really have been surprised how quickly it's happened. If I'm being honest, we're up to about 200 gyms now that are in MotUS, but beyond that is how willing everyone is to work together. I think the industry or the sport has shifted where I don't think this would have happened 5 years ago. I felt like everyone was kind of in their own little bubble and didn't want to get outside that bubble and so protective of it. But what has been amazing is that we've got, Top Gun, who competes with Stingrays in, 3 or 4 divisions, at Worlds every year, head to head, but they're sharing ideas with each other and sharing staff. We've had Victor and Kristen both come on, obviously Roger and Paige and Casey, et cetera, have all helped out, and they're working together for the betterment.
Charlotte and Premier were just whooping up on each other a couple weeks ago,
Yeah, for the betterment of everyone, but it's really brought back, it's like we keep saying, it's a gym-led community. Without the gyms, you don't have anyone going to competitions or buying uniforms or buying shoes or buying bows or buying backpacks or going to camps, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why all 4 of us, obviously, we're gym people at heart, even though we've, been blessed to do a lot of other things within our sport. It's the gym is the base of everything. And that's what I'm most excited about, and that everyone's getting that feel of joining the movement and sees the vision and the direction we're going. And I can't wait. I think the sky literally is the limit.
I agree. And we are excited to launch the MotUS Edge podcast. We're going to talk about, different gym struggles. I think the podcast will be for parents, athletes, gym owners, coaches. We're going to talk about all kinds of different things, business, entrepreneurs. I can't wait to have some of our awesome guests on here to talk about their businesses and how they got started. And it'll always be a lot of fun, of course. And, lots of jokes, especially between Kevin and Casey. I feel like you can tune in to the podcast on YouTube. You can also check us out anywhere that you get your podcast. Make sure that you guys follow us on Instagram and Facebook and X at Join MotUS. That's at JOIN MotUS, MotUS, at Join MotUS. Make sure to follow us on social media. Next week, we're going to share some of our terrific gym owner stories, like gym vandalization and our favorite mistakes, and maybe even a few business tips. We will for sure have all 4 of us on every other week, and we'll do some short episodes in between. Thank you guys for tuning in, and we look forward to being back next week.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome.
See ya.
God bless
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank you for listening to the MotUS Edge. We hope you had a blast. Join us next week for more on business, leadership, and motivation. Subscribe and follow the show where you get your podcasts. Subscribe to our newsletter at joinmotus.com. The MotUS Edge podcast is produced by ClantonCreative.com.